Hello, Professor.
Hi.
Hi, Professor. How are you?
Wait just a minute.
Okay, sounds good.
I have to get this set up. Okay.
Okay, take your time. Let me know when you're ready.
1 minute. Get some things organized here.
Kids are crying on the background, so apologies. I can hear you, doctor, if you have a problem with sound. Do you hear me?
You can hear me?
I can hear you quite well. Your voice is very lovely, by the way.
Good.
Thank you so much, Professor Chomsky, for this lovely opportunity. Please allow me to introduce myself. My name is Walid. I'm a PhD researcher in linguistics in Babylon University. So I would like to, first of all, thank you so much on behalf of Babylon University, my professors, Hussein and Professor Farid and all other professors. They're saying hi to you. We have a big community of readers of your publications. So it's a great opportunity to say thank you on behalf of all Iraqi students who are reading your great works. Today, I think the best opportunity that I have is with you to motivate this generation. I have one question with some peripheral digressing perspectives that I like to touch upon and focus with you. And I will be lightweight, so I'm not gonna take long of your time. Lovely morning where you enjoy your coffee during this time. First, why should this generation learn English? That is the first question that I sent to you through email so we can discuss and hear your lovely insight about it. The floor is yours, Professor.
Well, we live in a very tightly interconnected world that offers a great many benefits. But to open the door, you have to have the key.
Yeah.
The key is to be fairly fluent in what is at the moment the general international language of interchange, communication, publication, and so on. Now it happens to be English. 20 years from now, it may be Chinese. Time in the future, it may be Arabic, as it once was centuries ago. At one time, it was Latin. This is transitory. When I started teaching 70 years ago at MIT, the world's major scientific engineering university, I was teaching French and German to graduate students because if they wanted to have access to the scientific culture of the day, they had to know French and German. Now you have to know English.
Yeah.
That I should say that one of the serious errors of my own life, just to add a personal comment, had to do with Arabic. 75 years ago, when I was a student, I did learn Arabic. I learned enough to be able to read newspapers, a book, to converse with people. Unfortunately, over these many years, I let it lapse, which is a great gap in my understanding of the world and my ability to comprehend critical elements of the world. Mistake I shouldn't have made, and I don't think that others should make.
Now, do you think now, I heard the last meeting that you had with Professor Stephen Krashen, you touched base about the influence of internet on this generation, particularly. You added a little comment there where you mentioned that the this generation particularly is distracted by internet. So, and then later on, you mentioned the importance of reading. Now, my question is, how do this generation approach reading? In what way that you recommend in order to enlighten their minds, be more cognizant of the importance of language, especially English nowadays in this generation?
Well, I don't know the situation where you are, but in the United States, it's been carefully studied. The decline in reading is very serious.
Yeah.
It precedes the internet, but it's been intensified by the internet. This is a remarkable irony. The internet gives you easy access to a vast range of materials.
Of course.
So for a researcher, it's a lot easier to be able to find archival material at your fingertip than to have to go to the research library at the university and read old microfilms. It's a big step forward. And to some extent, it's being used. You can read journals, commentary, discussion, meet people from many parts of the world. But unfortunately, that's not being used. What's happened extensively is the internet has narrowed people's understanding and perception of the world. People tend, pretty naturally, I understand it, to turn immediately to things that reinforce their own beliefs, that respond to their own particular interests and prejudices, gets into a narrow world. I know there have been studies which show that reading materials in schools are now being lowered. The kind of books that used to be assigned in middle school are now assigned in high schools. I can see it in my own teaching. I used to be able to use literary allusions freely, and people understand them. Now they don't know what I'm talking about because they're not reading widely. They're glued to the internet on their own small bubbles. That has to be overcome if we're to have a world in which there's mutual interchange, common understanding. I should add that the severe problems that humans now face have no borders. These are international problems. Obviously true of the pandemic, even more dramatically true of global warming, of the threat of international conflict. Just about every major issue we face is one that is borderless, international, and we must move towards a world of mutual interchange, communication, solidarity, and a world of genuine internationalism, or else we're literally going to face extinction.
Well, I can confirm that this situation, particularly here in Iraq, is pretty much not better than the situation in the United States in terms of reading. I heard from one of the studies that they conducted recently that the average reader in Iraq reads about half a page per month, which is like nothing compared to the amount of reading I used to read, because I graduated with an MA degree in TESOL from California. I was taught there by Kathleen Bailey and some of her fellow colleagues. I want to move to the next point in our discussion, Professor, which is something relevant to your comment from the last meeting that you had with Nabil and Stephen Krashen. In Iraq, we have a problem of lack of stimuli to learn the second language because the context here is not supportive of learning second language. You mentioned quite insightfully the comment of lack of stimuli in L2 or deficiency of stimuli in L2 context. So based on your treasure of experience, how do you recommend we approach language teaching in Iraq?
The only way I can think of is to stress, to give students the opportunity to appreciate and enjoy the richness and excitement of the international cultures. As soon as you put your foot in, you immediately want to go to swim. It's an exciting, enriching experience. Just taste it and you're trapped and caught. You want to understand more. It's an exciting experience. Speaking again of my own experiences, much younger when I was.
So on average, when you were young person, on average, how many books did you read per month? If you can give me a comment on that.
Well, I know from childhood, the most exciting experience was to be able to go to the library on Saturday, come home with a big stack of books, depending on age, started reading 19th century English and Russian novels, then on to other things. But to be able to just curl up in a corner and to start reading the mass of books I'd accumulated that week was an exciting experience. And it still is. Piles of books everywhere that I'm dying to find time to get to, because it's so exciting to discover the amazing content that they have, the insights you learn, the perspectives, the appreciation of what the world and human society has to offer.
It's quite amazing that you mentioned culture, because culture is really relevant to understanding language. And out of the four skills, the major skills in language learning, reading, writing, speaking, and listening, which one do you recommend we emphasize the most in teaching L2 context here, specifically in Middle East, Professor?
Well, right now, there's really no alternative to gaining substantial fluency in English. Now it happens to be the international language. As I mentioned, 70 years ago, I was teaching French and German to graduate students at MIT because that's what you had to know if you wanted to do serious work in science and mathematics. Now, English. 20 or 30 years from now, maybe it'll be Chinese. But whatever it is, you have to be immersed in it if you want to be able to gain the enormous advantages offered to us by the integration of societies.
That's awesome. Now, the last question, Professor, is out of all the collection of books that you have published, which one is the most endearing to your heart and you recommend us read and focus more on in terms of language here in Middle East, specifically in Iraq?
You know, I'm often asked questions like that. I never answer. There's just too many dimensions, too many alternatives, too many options. Too much depends on a person's individual concerns, interests, and aspirations. So I think the right answer to that kind of question is search. Go to the library, go to the bookstores, search. The way I gained my own education, I should say, is by having a desk in the great library of Harvard University, and just the ability to walk around the stacks and to get a sense of the richness and complexity of the cultures of the world, and to be able to pick up a book on any topic you maybe never even thought about and become immersed in it is a tremendous way to gain a rich, exciting education.
Thank you so much, Professor. I will definitely send you another email in case you are available in California or Arizona, or I can come over and see, because I do some videos on famous professors of language like Dan Larson Freeman, Stephen Krashen, and others. So you are the Ivy League professors, you are the pioneers of this field, and we look up to see you, meet you, hear you, and see your comments here. Specifically during this lockdown of COVID-19, people have been struggling, especially this new generation that is focusing more on internet and less on reading. Do you have, Professor, any final comments on words for this generation specifically to focus on as final words that you say to them to focus on this year, next year in terms of language learning, research, focus on developing their skills?
The only words that I have are to recognize the excitement of being in a position where you can have the riches, not only of today's world, but of the enormous contributions of the past, plunge into it, find out what excites you and engages your interest, pursue it. You have a great world ahead of you. It's open, it's available, but you have to take advantage of it.
Professor, thank you so much for this lovely meeting. It's actually a great opportunity to hear your words, especially when it comes to language learning and language acquisition. I often recommend my students to follow you, hear your insightful comments on language philosophy, on politics, on all aspects that you talk about in your meetings. It's a great opportunity. I think I'm the first Iraqi person to interview via Zoom. Is that correct?
Could be.
Thank you so much, Professor. I wish you all the best in this lovely morning. I hope you enjoy your lovely coffee. I wish you are here where I can invite you to a Middle Eastern strong coffee that will keep you awake.
Very pleased to have a chance to talk to you.
Thank you so much, Professor. I wish you all the best and have a wonderful day.
Thank you very much.
Have a good one. Bye-bye.